Good evening, folks. Welcome back to another Wednesday hobby hangout. Yes, we've got the hat on tonight. Only because it was absolutely freezing outside when I was coming through to the garage, and I'll be honest, I forgot to take it off. And actually, it's making me quite nice and cozy, so I'm leaving it on now. So I hope you're all very well. How is everybody? What are you painting tonight? What's on the table? Who's been playing games this week? Because I have, and that makes a difference. It makes a change. It was very nice to get a game in. I had a game of DEADZONE yesterday against Mr. John Estel. I think I saw his name in the chat there. Yeah, very nice to get the rats out yesterday and have a game of DEADZONE 3rd edition. Was very nice. So yes, we're going to be painting a bit of DEADZONE tonight. I'm just saying, Deep Red says, got to keep quiet tonight. The wife's tired after a hard day garden a bridge. I'm sure she loves you really, mate. Let's have a look and see who we've got in the chat tonight. We've got Mr. Peter Nicholas says he's just bagged a comfy chair first in. Nice to see you, fella. Blizzards says, DEADZONE's life. Mark Wright, good evening to you, mate. Claudio, he said he can't make it, but hello, mate, and thank you for popping in. Tasty Brain Drain, hello to you. Meeting Taverns, he said he's not going to be able to catch much of tonight, but looking forward to the catch-up. Hello if you're here now, or hello in the catch-up. And he said he's been looking forward to this one. Yeah, I've been concentrating on getting the terrain ready, to be fair, and I've been in the middle of painting it for a video, and then I got sidetracked finishing off my old terrain because I needed it for when Mantic were filming. Lots of different things. Anyway, I finally got round to it now. They've been built since I first got them, so they're ready to go. But yeah, we're going to be painting one tonight, and I'm going to try and paint. Believe this or not, I'm going to try and paint the entire one side of the box tonight in the stream. Let's see if we can do a super quick, sort of decent tabletop standard. Let's just get them done, and then we can start doing some sort of battle reports and things like that as well. We've got Blizzards saying it couldn't help but notice there's one like. I didn't see 14 likes, mate, so whatever you did, it must have worked. Thank you very much. Peter Kuman, good evening to you, matey. Blizzard saying he's building Vehement today, not foing. No foing today. I can't believe it, mate. John's having a snack before he starts painting the halflings. Cat Smith, good evening to the Smith family there as well. Building Spider-Man from Crisis Protocol. A lady with taste there. Bit of Marvel on the table. I've got a nice little Marvel build pile ready to start getting some paint on in my spare time. Nigel Jones, good evening to you, matey. Peter's getting too late to pack out now. John Ashley Smith, hello, mate, from South Ontario there. Jill saying, just in from work, ready for some hobby time. Belated happy YouTube birthday. Yes, officially yesterday, the 2nd of November, was my 5th anniversary. The first video I ever uploaded. Who'd have thunked it, eh? Who'd have thunked it? Meeting Tavern says, you know it's starting soon when the unskippable adverts start. They're always skippable when they come up for me. I always just skip over them purely because I think you're not supposed to kind of fudge it by watching your own adverts, to be fair. Because I think it's classed as doing something a bit dodgy, so I always just skip them. Tiberius Wallace. I'm not even going to try and pronounce that. I think it says, is it Slanchy? Is it? I think is that right? I don't know what the second one was. Hello, mate. By the way, Ryan. Hello to you as well. Peter says he's staring at Forge Fathers. Literally no idea for a paint scheme. I had no idea for a paint scheme until I sat down about an hour before the stream started, and I very quickly did a test scheme, and then that's what we're going with tonight. Tasty Brain says it looks good on you. It's keep my head warm, mate. Honestly, it's the only kind of woolly hat I own. So yeah, it was either that or a baseball cap. And what tends to happen with a baseball cap is the peak kind of like casts a shadow over my face like that, and it always looks a bit funny on camera. And I don't think I'm cool enough to be wearing it back to front, to be fair. But yeah, it's to keep me head warm, that's for sure. VG's wrapping up his morning and run. Nice one, mate. Jill says you don't need to justify wearing your own merch. Yeah, like I say, it's the only one I own. I'll happily turn it round if anybody objects, but you can buy it just out of interest. Dave's Mini Menagerie, hello to you, mate. He's done his chores and he's ready for the hobby. We've got Mr. Krabby in. Hello, Al. How you doing, mate? Meats and Taverns is saying he's painting some rats and he's primed them from the second Kickstarter. I hear a lot of people online, kind of saying, oh, I've got version 1 and I've got version 2 and I've never done anything with them. I backed the Kickstarter. I've never done anything. It seems like this 3rd edition's lit a bit of a fire under people to reignite it and get it started again. John says, I got out of cooking dinner, but I'll probably help in some fashion. Will you help by eating it, mate? That's the best way to help. Busey, good evening to you, mate. He said, hope everyone's keeping warm. The polar air coming through, apparently. I tell you what, mate, I definitely feel it today. It is freezing. It was cold in here in the garage as well, because I was in yesterday with John playing a game. And then I've been working in the house basically yesterday and today because I've been editing videos. So I've not actually been in here for a couple of days. And normally in here, it's pretty good. It's insulated. It's not too bad. I've got a little radiator that I kind of flick on if I'm going to be in here for any length of time. And we've got like a tumble dryer next door as well, which basically like a condenser dryer. So it pumps out a little bit of hot air as well. So it's normally it's absolutely fine here. I mean, to be fair, I'm still sitting in a t-shirt. It's not freezing. But yeah, I haven't done any washing for 2 days. And I haven't had the radiator on, so yeah, it was cold when I first walked in. Hence, I left the hat on after being outside. John says, was a great game and those rats and scenery looked awesome. I've got the rats still on the table here, actually. But yeah, I loved it, mate. We'll definitely have another game. So close to a win as well. So close. I want my revenge next time. Ryan says, thought there was no such thing as a tabletop standard. You're right, mate, there isn't. What I mean is, it's just my acceptable. I'm not going to be kind of going to my normal level with them, I think, tonight. But I'm going to show you how to just get them done, basically. And then you can always go back and revisit them and kind of fancy highlights and stuff like that. Peter says, I never get adverts. Maybe have you got an ad blocker or something like that, mate? John says, I got a short unskippable ad. I think YouTube choose. I don't I can go in and choose what kind of ads you see, but I never kind of do it. Like, I never go in and sort of put adverts into the middle of videos and things like that. Whatever you see is YouTube doing them. And they've changed the way it works now, because the way it used to work was you couldn't have adverts on your video if you had less than 1,000 subscribers, I think it was. And then once you got 1,000 subscribers, you could choose to put adverts in where you wanted, kind of thing. Now, even if you have less than 1,000 subscribers, YouTube will just put ads on regardless. So even if you think that somebody's kind of making money from your videos, it might be. Even if I turned off advertising, you still see adverts. I just don't get paid for it, basically. That's all it works. He says gets paid. Like, I think I get about $1 for every 1,000 views or something like that. I ain't retiring anytime soon, that's for sure. John says, happy belated birthday. Thank you very much. He says, won't ask how you turned. Impolite. 5, mate. 5. Where are we up to here? Peterson, he went for his walk an hour and a half today. Good job, it's getting chilly. Or earlier today, and good job, it's getting chilly. I don't mind it when you're kind of wrapped up. It's quite nice. Jacob saying, I could use one of those beanies right about now. Yeah, it's keeping the top. When you've got hair like me, or lack of, it comes in useful. Jill says, we're due a high of 8 tomorrow, so it'll be 5 in the library. Busy says, I've got a paraffin heater on the go, but don't tell those COP26 guys. John says, don't get the booby trap next time and you'll have the win. I know, honestly, mate, what can I say? And neither of us got that intel. Actually, if I'd picked up that intel, I wouldn't have even had to get it back. I would have instantly got that those 2 points as well. If any one of the other ones I picked, I think I got. Oh no, I suppose I dropped some as well because I've got getting killed, obviously. Tiberius says, what he means is finished is the best colour. Exactly, that's what we're doing tonight. Good evening, Wayne. How are you doing? He's got a bit of hobby on the table tonight as well. John saying it's cold enough here to need my electric space heater. In the last few weeks, no snow yet. Yeah, fingers crossed. We haven't got anything like that either. Yeah, no universal tabletop standard. There you go, mate. And Peter says just the basic one from Firefox. Firefox? I think I just use just Google. I think that's all I use, mate. And Major Tom, good evening, Ed. So, without further ado, let's get the paints out. I want to try and get this finished tonight. The full squad. And we're going to be painting the GCPS, because the rat side of, I haven't actually built the rats yet. Not all of them anyway from the other side. And the reason is because I've already got my own Veerman are already kind of painted and stuff. I need to add some to them because they've gone down in points a bit. But these are my the V-men that I did for the Dead Zone painting challenge. Was it last year? Was it this year? I've got no idea, mate, to be fair. Ryan says, Aiden just came in full of beans. Better do one of your famous telling him to go to bed. Aiden, it's bedtime, son. See this little rat here? This little rat is going to have a chat with Santa Claus if you don't go to bed. Good night, sunshine. Yeah, so these are my rats. This is a nightmare with twin drills. We've got a nightmare as well with the what's it called? The heavy chem spitter. That's the little fellow there. And then we've got the little boys as well, or girls to be fair. They might be female rats. And these ones as well. So those are my V-men, and I'll be the new kind of pack master. I'll be painting up to match these if I can find the piece of paper that has my paint recipes on it. But I've got kind of. I thought I had enough. I thought I'd painted up 200 points worth until I come to play John yesterday and realised I was at 150 now. So yeah, we're going to be painting up. We're going to be painting up the GCPS, and like I say, we're going to basically be doing a nice quick paint job on them. So what I've done to start off, folks, is I have sprayed them, primed them black. I've basically put like sand and bits of rocks and stuff on the base, just so it matches up with the base, and that I've already done for my rats. Primed the whole thing. I dry brushed it with white to just kind of like lighten up the high spots, and then I've dry brushed it with silver over the top. Now in the past I've done both. I've put silver straight over the black, and it never kind of gets the same sort of brightness of silver. So I very quickly dry brushed it white, and then dry brushed it like a heavy dry brush of silver over the top. And the reason we've done it silver is we're going to come straight in with their old favourite, the contrast paints. I must admit, I'm really starting to appreciate just how good contrast paints are. I was skeptical when I first tried them, when they came out at UK Games Expo a few years ago, and you could try them out for yourself. I'll be honest, I was a bit skeptical about them. I thought they were. I didn't think they were too great. And then I gradually started I bought a couple of different colours, and then Mr. Howell very kindly sent me the full set because he'd bought them and didn't like them, said he would never use them, and would I be able to use them? And I said I'll certainly give them a try, and I have learned to absolutely love them, to be fair. So what we're going to do is we are going in with Talisar Blue, and on my test model I was trying to be really careful about where I put the stuff, and then realised actually the best thing to do was just put it all over the model, and then come back and kind of paint the bits that I didn't want to be blue, as opposed to trying to avoid them. So that's what we're doing. The only thing I'm not going to paint is obviously the faces on these particular ones, and I won't be painting their boots and the gun. So yeah, just gonna get this contrast paint on over the silver as well. This Talisar Blue gives a really nice kind of like sort of candy metallic look to it as well. I'm a big fan of it. So Peter Cummins, he's interested in the army painted ones. Might try them when they're available. Yeah, I'd be interested, mate. I'll be honest, I'm not really sure what the biggest difference is. I assume the biggest difference is probably going to be price. I did watch a video where somebody tried them out, and they just basically looked like kind of heavy ink washes the same way these ones are really. So I think I'll just probably stick with these because this is what I've been using. But if I get one to test or something like that, it'd be nice to compare them myself. But yeah, we're just gonna we'll leave the vents out there on the back as well. Right, so did the drink. Good one, mate. Hello, Kodos. How are you doing, fella? Peter says I had the tunnel runner in my paws earlier, but thought I'd do those Forge Fathers first. Forge Fathers are another one that you can get done pretty quick. So yeah, we're gonna. I'm definitely kind of starting to appreciate now, especially when I'm kind of getting more models. It's one thing when we're doing a painting stream and the camera's really close to them and you can see what I'm doing, and I mean, you all know I'm not the world's best painter kind of thing, but that's when kind of you feel like you need to kind of go the extra mile and taking photographs to show everybody and all that kind of stuff. You feel like you need to be a bit neater, a bit better with your painting and stuff. But the more stuff I do painting things to kind of see in a gameplay video, for example, like when I was editing all of the Mantic videos for DEADZONE, they had their kind of studio painted models, which looked absolutely amazing. Except when I was editing them, it was kind of lost, to be fair. You didn't really get to appreciate just how good they were on camera. So yeah, I started to think, actually, maybe I'm kind of killing myself to try and kind of paint things to my, like, at least a good standard, or a better standard than I normally would, thinking, you know, that they need to be good for on camera kind of thing. When actually in reality, you're hardly ever going to see them. So I thought I'll take a bit of a chance and do something a bit different. I've been kind of going the extra mile with my Marvel stuff. One, because it's hobby stuff. It's not fuck on camera or anything like that. It's just for me to enjoy painting and things in the background as a hobby. So I've been, and the fact that you only have to paint one of each of them as well. So I've been taking my time with those. I'll probably, when I've got a few more done, I'll probably do maybe like a little maybe like a little showcase of them, like a little video or something, just to show you what I've been doing. But generally, it's the same. I've been doing something similar. You'll have saw last week. I did something similar with the Showdown at Retribution set for Wild West Exodus. I'm just trying to get them finished so I can actually start to get them on the table for the channel, really. Because one thing I'm not good at is getting stuff through to completion so that I can start to play with them. So, because I'm never going to play on the channel with unpainted minis or anything like that, am I? So, alright, so there's the first one down. I'm actually going to paint the helmets a different colour on these troops. I'm going to paint the helmets red just to kind of make them stand out a little bit. Because we've got these, which are, I forget the difference now, I forget their names. Oh, it's really stuck on the blue tab there. And then we've got those ones, and then they've got like almost the ones that look like Halo troops, I think. Let's have a little look here, see who we've got. Peter said he's still in uniform mode from his Germans. Yeah. Peter says, blimey, I actually have some of these to paint as well. Excuse me while I fetch them. You're gonna join the painting queue, mate. Nice one. Get on it. Get on it. Super Pumpkin Man, hello mate. Said he forgot about the time difference. Yeah, it's going to take a few weeks for everybody to catch up, I think, mate, and then we start to get back to normal again. Moose Moosington, good morning, sir. My chilled, positive thoughts with you on your way to work today, mate. I watched your that video that you did as well, mate, with those guys. It was very, very interesting, mate. I didn't realise you were playing quite so much, or you were starting to get started into Kings of War, mate. It was really interesting because I obviously played dwarves as well when I get to play games, and it was interesting to hear your thoughts on them as well, mate. But yeah, good episode. I enjoyed it, mate. Peter says the biggest difference is they're in droppers, and I'm used to that. See, the thing is with the droppers, I'd never use these kind of contrast paints in a dropper. I'm literally I'm painting straight from the bottle. What I tend to do is give them a shake. Some of it ends up in the lid. If I just tilt that a little bit, you can see it. Some of it ends up in the lid here, and I just kind of use that, wipe the excess on the sides, and then just kind of paint away. So yeah, I think when it comes to, same with washers, when it comes to those, I don't think I'd want them in dropper bottles. I mean, I'm not it doesn't, dropper bottle thing doesn't really bother me like it does some people, but yeah, when it comes to these kind of paints, I actually think randomly, I think it's a real benefit to not be in a dropper bottle. I like that these are those kind of bigger pots. So, but yeah, you're right, that is probably the biggest difference between them. If folks like to use them to put on a wet palette or something like that, then all power to them, really. But yeah, it's not how I paint. Tasty Brain Drinking, excellent job on those Veman. Thank you very much, sir. Very, very kind. I remember doing them, and I really enjoyed it, actually. I really enjoyed painting them. Again, because I got them finished. So I think at some point, actually, obviously with the extra Veman that I got from the DEADZONE starter set, I might like to try and do something for Firefight at some point, which is like kind of like the next scale up and try and build it out to a force. I never really particularly kind of sort of was a huge fan of these GCPS. Like, they just, you know, I just, in my head, they were just like, ooh, what was that? Claudio, thank you very much, mate, for joining the Patreon. Much appreciated, buddy. Patreons took a bit of a kicking lately, folks. And I've dipped under 100 Patreons for the first time in a long time. And this month, my kind of like the money I kind of got from Patreon this month was the lowest it's been in quite some time, over a year. So yeah, I mean, I'm not kind of folks can subscribe and unsubscribe as much as they want. I'm not having a go at anybody kind of thing, but it's never nice to see things going backwards in that respect. So yeah, thank you very much, buddy. Thank you very much for subscribing, therefore joining the Patreon. Really does help. Not only financially, but sort of motivation-wise as well. Actually, it's surprising what it does just to kind of like, I guess it's a form of appreciation, I guess, in my head, really. Like, people want to support you. It means a lot when people want to support you like that. Anyway, what we're talking about. We were talking about something, and I can't remember what it was now. I'm sure somebody will remind me at some point. Oh yeah, I was on about painting the Vehman, maybe doing a bigger force, wasn't I, for Firefight? And I was saying that, see, it all comes flooding back now. I was saying I was never a huge fan of these particular models. I just kind of thought of them as like, you know, soldiers, army model kind of things, just standard sort of troopers, police type things. But actually, getting my hands on some here, and building them up and painting them up, they're actually they're sort of more detailed than I think I gave them credit for. They're actually really nice models. So who knows? Especially with a nice quick paint scheme, these might be a nice one to kind of flesh out as well to a fuller army. John says, do Army Painter contrast paints come in a set? I'm not sure. I mean, I know Army Painter do a lot of sets, so they might do when these ones come out. I don't think do the washers come in a set? Do the air paints? I think the new air paints you can buy a set, but I don't think they're. I don't think you have to, for example. Kodos says, what I've seen from reviews at Army Painter 1s dry faster and give stronger contrast. To be honest, I think it depends upon what you're painting over, because I like painting over, you know, when you get the GW sprays that you're supposed to spray to use these with. I've never ever liked them over those kind of those spray cans like the Grey Seer and stuff like that, and the Wraithbone. I've never really liked the paints over that. I've only ever painted them over like a zenithal primed model with like white as a highlight and black as a base coat, or I've painted them like this over metallics, and I've always been impressed with them over that. And as you can see here from a contrast perspective, oh, I guess you'll not really be able to see because they're still drying, but I guess the other side as well is drying faster. I guess it depends. It depends how much you're putting on. It depends whether you need them to dry faster. Like I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 models here to paint before I go back to the first one again. So I'm kind of less concerned about speed in that instance. So I guess it's pros and cons really. But yeah, I don't really own any Army Painter paints. I've got a few Jotter bottles that I kind of got in that set for painting the bolt action stuff that Warlord sent me, or Warlord gave me when I was down there, I should say. So I've got those few paints, but because they're kind of like greys and greens and browns, I've hardly used them really outside of painting that bolt action set. And I've never been anywhere that sold it really for me to pick any up really. Like I've always said that I keep buying GW paints or Citadel paints purely for ease of access of picking them up locally and stuff. So it's not like a kind of like a it's not like I'm against army painter paints. I've just never really picked them up. I always remember hearing about kind of you really need to kind of shake them and stuff. They need agitators in them. You need to get rid of that kind of bit of liquid that sits on the top. All that kind of stuff, but that's just it's not put me off or anything. I've just never used them. Major Tom, Ed saying I love army painted brushes, but their paints are so bad. It's funny because of all the different kind of paints that's out there, I would say army painters seem to be the ones, and like I say, I've not really used them, so this is not like from personal experience to say that. They're the ones that I would say I never really hear any kind of more these quality painters or professional painters kind of thing. You know what I mean? People who are renowned for their painting prowess, if you like. It's the one paint that I never hear anybody saying that they use. And I guess that kind of, I wouldn't say like adds weight to anything, but it definitely makes you think twice. Like Vallejo paints, I always hear people using Vallejo paints, Scale 76 paints, Citadel paints for that matter. I hear people saying that there's certain privateer press paints, the P3 paints. There's certain ones of those that are really nice. Like I think the whites from privateer press are really, really good. There is, I forget now, there's another kind of paint as well that everybody's been raving about recently. I forget where it is. However, like when it comes to people who are generally seen as really, really good painters, I hear all of those paints being used. And maybe not exclusively those paints, but like mixtures of those. Like they might take certain shades from one range, they might take metallics from something else. But army painter ones seem to be the ones that I never really hear anybody sort of raving about or I very rarely see being used in kind of like painting videos or anything like that. Maybe it's just sort of lack of exposure to it. Where are we up to here? Christian, hello mate. He says, came to say hello. I'm a bit ill, so going to rest and see the stream later. Get well soon, buddy. Hope you're okay. And if you do come back and join the stream at a later date, hello and welcome back. But yeah, get some rest, buddy, and feel better soon. Christian says, I used Talisol blue over metal and then washed black. I don't think I'll be washing black on there. I don't think it needs it. Because I did one as a bit of a test model just at the start before the stream started. Took me like 10 minutes to do it almost to completed. So I think I'm quite happy with how it kind of finished up. So I'm as you can see, I was going to say I'm not really being neat. I'm making sure I don't go over onto the gun and stuff, even though I'm going to sort of like pick out the silver and stuff afterwards. But I'm just trying to kind of put the paint in the right places. The beauty with this, especially over the metallics, is you can always come back and sort of touch up any bits that you've missed. Because over the metallics, it doesn't tend to like stain the same way that it does over the kind of wraithbone and stuff like that. So that one looks all right. Let's have a little look here. Where are we up to here? Oh, that jumped down quite a bit here. Wow. Christian saying, yeah, for the orc he painted a month or so ago. Okay, mate. Rangers, yeah, that's the diff, mate. There's Rangers and then there's something else as well. I forget what the other ones are. Peter says his figures are different now I look, but I've got them on the table. It's painting time. You've potentially, mate, probably got the rather than the GCPS, you've probably got the Enforcers, I'd imagine, mate, if they're different. So but yeah, enjoy, mate. Anyway, painting is its own reward. VJ says, yeehaw, Mon Pot Kickstarters. cracked 350k were getting their giant apes. Yeah, I must admit, I did watch the video, mate, the promotional video thing for the Kickstarter, and Mythic always do a really, really good job of the promotion of their Kickstarters and stuff. The video looked really good, but the only thing I would say with it is the video makes it look a lot more exciting than when they cut to the game bit, the components bit. But I've not played it, so I can't comment. Says I love the saucer and the walkers and haven't got any yet. Nice one. Jill says, yeah, contrast paints and washes. I prefer the GW pots. Yeah, that I'm exactly the same, Jill. I find that it's the kind of thing you just want to dip the brush into it. I don't really want to keep sort of transferring it out and sort of drying out and things. I just want to be able to dip the brush in and kind of keep going. So, Peter says, I've knocked my fair share of GW pots over. I've only ever done it once, mate, if I'm honest. I did it live on a stream as well once, but I've only ever done it once. I used to kind of put blue tack on the bottom to stop them going over, and I think Beauty was just saying that I need to print out one of those little kind of holders. I probably should really for the stream, because I guess I'm paying a little bit less attention when I'm rabbiting away at the same time. Maybe that's not a bad idea at some point. I know GW sell them as well, but I'm not giving GW money for something to stop me knocking my pots over. Not one if I can do something myself. Yeah, Jill saying contrast paints on a wet palette don't work very well. I think I've done it, Jill, when I've been like kind of mixing them and stuff like that. If I've been using the contrast paint as a medium for something else, I've done it. But generally, I've not. I would always just paint straight from the pot. I mean, the whole reason being is that that's what they're for. If I'm going to go to the trouble of kind of like sort of trying to be a bit more sort of careful and fancy with them, contrast paint's probably not the paint to be using. I'm better off just using normal acrylic paints, like normal pigmented paint. Fiji says you could have the best of both worlds with the drop tops. Yeah, you could do, mate. You could do. Cost me a fortune though, to be fair. I've got probably about, I think there's about 250 paint pots over there, something like that. So I'm happy doing things the way I've done them ever since I started painting. There might be easier ways or better ways or whatever, but this is all I've known, so I'm quite happy to just continue painting the way I paint. John's saying I can't find Null oil anywhere. When I went looking for a bottle last week, everybody was out of it. Maybe they're just kind of getting replenished or something like that. Unless it's a sign of new ones coming again. Who knows? So. Right, there's another one down. Flying through these, folks. Flying through them. Tiberius says GCPS models are in the Star Saga box, so that's it. So that's a good add to that. Star Saga, I think, if I remember right, I'm trying to think if there's any others I haven't got, but I think Star Saga is the only Mantic game I've never played. It's certainly the one, I don't own it, but it might well be the only one I've never played. Like I don't own League of Infamy, because I intentionally didn't buy it, but I have played it. Really enjoyed it, but I just knew I would never get it to the table and see the best out of it. I think I've mentioned this before on streams, is that it's a game that really does benefit from having kind of like 4 or 5 people playing, and it's like that I'll never get 4 or 5 people around the table at the same time. I struggle to get one person at a time, so that was the reason I never picked it up. But the game was fun, and I have played it. But yeah, I've never played Star Saga. I think I always kind of used to think, and I think I've said this before as well, it was always like dead cheap when I saw it in sort of like at events and stuff like that. You could pick it up for like 20 quid at one point, and I think I almost just kind of wrote it off as that mustn't be very good if it's always kind of cheap, if it's always on sale. But I think at the time, I don't think I really kind of factored in sort of DEADZONE models and all that kind of stuff. So at some point I might pick it up. Maybe keep an eye out for another sale or something at some point. Dirk saying, seems to be a bit cold in Britain. It is a bit, mate. It is. John says, yeah, there's sets for washers. I can't imagine Army Painter not doing a set. Yeah, I'd imagine they will do a set. I can't imagine that they won't with a new product coming out. But I don't know if I misunderstood the question. But I thought the question was, will it only come in a set? Like, will it come in a set kind of thing? And I've got no idea. I assume you'll be able to buy them individually as well to kind of like replenish them. But I'm not that familiar with Army Painter paints to know whether it's like, are they significantly cheaper if you buy them in a set? I get that they are with the big mega paint sets and stuff like that, but I'm not so sure for like a smaller set. Johnson, yeah, there's sets for washers. Yeah, can't imagine not doing one. Yeah, that's right. And the ink washers come in a set. Tiberius is saying. Peter says that's what always stopped me from using contrast. I usually undercoat black or the main uniform color. I think if you're already undercoating or kind of priming the main uniform color, contrast paints are not really for you. Like if I'd sprayed these blue, for example, then I would have already done this stage. But I'm using the contrast paint specifically because over the silver, it looks like it gives a certain effect. I don't have to kind of like worry about sort of highlights and shades and stuff like that. Like I won't put a wash over the top of this one. So yeah, I think it's just about knowing kind of when's the best time to use them. But yeah, I'm using them more and more lately, but I'm using them for speed as much as anything really, and just getting some nice effects. Like I've been painting up my Hulkbuster, and I've used contrast paint on my Hulkbuster to get the main kind of candy red armor. Like I would never have painted it out of the pot like over the whole model, but I airbrushed it over a gold base, and it's looking really nice. So like I say, it just depends on what you're using it for. So that's that one. See me snap one of these heads off at some point doing this. It's the only bit that I can touch to pick it off, that's the thing. Evening, Peter, how are you doing? Peter Stockdale. Jill saying the Army Painter paints are the one line I won't buy anymore. Pretty awful. The little rattle primers are okay. I've had problems with the rattle primers in the past. Being like overly thick, like really heavy sprays. Pro Acrol, mate, that was the one I was keep hearing people talking about. Ed says they separate really badly on a wet palette. Yeah, I don't like. I think I've put someone and mixed it with something else and then painted with it. I don't think I've really kind of like sort of left it there for any amount of time. But yeah, what I found, just, I know it looks like I'm not really being particularly very careful, but what I found was the best way to get these on is just pretty much cover it, put it over the model, and then come back and sort of paint the silver bits in or whatever colours, pouches and things, paint them in afterwards. I think that works out the best way, because you can paint over the top of the contrast paint pretty nicely. The only thing I'd say is you tend to have to give them a varnish, because it's really thin, the paint on this, and it rubs off quite easily. So you do have to give the models a varnish. That's the only thing. And because I don't always varnish my models. If you always varnish your models, it's not the end of the world then, because you're going to be doing it anyway. But I generally don't tend to varnish mine. Tiberius is saying Army Painter paints need prep, so if you're a wet palette user, then they're absolutely perfect. Yeah, I think generally from what I understand from people who do use Army Painter paints is that they need, like, if you've got one of those vortex shakers, then I think it absolutely kind of transforms them, because I think they separate out so much that they need that sort of vigorous shaking to get the pigment sort of working, if you like. And then once you do that, I think they work pretty well from what I understand. But yeah, that's not from experience. Edson, yeah, scale 70 is his favorite. Yeah, again, it's one of those things I would have to order online. I never see it anywhere for sale. John said, I don't mind Army Painter paint, but I love Vallejo. It just feels silkier and seems to go on better. Yeah, I mean, at some point I keep thinking I wouldn't mind kind of switching over to Vallejo stuff just to compare. I've got the odd kind of like sort of the odd pot of like Vallejo stuff. Like I use that for the white. The Model Air white is quite nice. Goes on lovely. So I've got the odd pot of Vallejo stuff, but I've never like sort of painted a whole model with it, like with only Vallejo, just as a comparison. Crowley says, I think the pigmentation in Army Painter is considered pretty bad for most of the line. Yeah, I think that's generally the feedback I hear, mate. But then I don't know how much of that is this thing about how much they need to kind of have extra agitation in them. And I don't know if that's just because I think most of us don't really kind of shake our paints as much as we should do. But I think you get away with it with most paints. I think Army Painter are less forgiving in that respect. But then, based upon the fact that they're a paint that's probably aimed at sort of new painters and beginners, maybe that's not a great combination. So this model, folks, for those that haven't kind of realised, this is the new leader model. This is Therese. I'm gonna have to have a look now. So somebody will probably tell me in the chat before. I'll not get to it. Is it Therese Washington? That's it. Therese Washington, which is the leader model that comes in the new 2-player starter set. Oh, that's because I intentionally didn't paint that because it's a knife. That's it. So yeah, so this is the leader model. That's that. On to the next one. So that's all of the kind of like the troopers done, and then we've got these guys, who are the Rangers, I think they are, and we're going to do them the same blue, but I'm actually going to give these ones blue helmets to kind of stand out from the other ones. So on the tabletop, I can spot which ones are which. Let's have a little look here. Yeah, VG is saying about Pro Acrol. Yeah, BZC's got some Army Painter paints from when he first got in, but wouldn't buy them again. Yeah, it's interesting. Johnson, he came to the hobby from plastic modelling, and as bad as Citadel paints can be, they're a dream to use. I've only ever really kind of, is it compared to Tamiya acrylics or Humbrol and testers? I think it's that if you're used to kind of using, I remember using kind of like what they called again, like Humbrol paints and stuff like that. Like when I first kind of sort of started with the odd model here and there as well. Like I don't think I really understood the difference really, so I think I just picked up some little kind of pots of paint when I was a kid, when I kind of tried painting. It didn't last very long, like, but because I couldn't afford to with the pocket money, couldn't afford to buy the paints. But yeah, I can imagine. I mean, it's kind of say what you want about Citadel or the pots and that kind of stuff, but they've, like, as a beginner coming in, they've kind of like this, they've set up the system to try and make it easy for sort of beginners to get in it. Once you've been painting for a while, you might not agree, but I think for a beginner to understand sort of what washes are and base paint's been kind of thicker and layer paint's been a bit more transparent. I think it's not a bad system they've set up. Christian said it was too bright blue for me, but maybe you have more shadows than I had. I think on these models, mate, to be fair, I think it's there's quite like they're quite detailed. Like there's a lot of kind of like sort of shadows and things. I can imagine if it's on a really sort of not necessarily a flat area, but on a bigger model or a bigger piece of a model, I can imagine it might be a really bright blue. I kind of wanted to go for the bright blue, to be fair, but it's not as bright as I would have expected, or I would have quite happily had a brighter blue, if you like. But yeah, I think that maybe is the case. But you're seeing from the armies, the paintings he's seen seem to be a bit more consistent than contrast across the range. Yeah, I would agree with that, mate. I think contrast paints, there are some colours, like this Talassar blue, for example, Blood Angels red, which are absolutely fantastic. They're a dream. They go on so nice. And then there's other ones, things like Athematic blue, unless you're putting it over white. Like it's great for like flames and stuff, but like it's so thin that it doesn't really kind of like if I put it. In fact, I tried it over this silver when I first did my test thing. I was going to try and do the armor like 2 different colors of blue, and I tried that Athematic blue, and it hardly even showed up. It looked like it was basically just running off the high spots as opposed to sort of looking like highlighted. So yeah, they're definitely not consistent across the entire range, but I guess they all have a use, if you like. It just you can't use them all in exactly the same way. Corey says he's happy with Vallejo and GW. Yeah, I think that's the grand scheme of things, mate. That's the whole point, isn't it? As long as you're happy, like it doesn't really matter what paints you use. It's all about what paints you get used to, and like as long as they're predictable, as long as you get the effect that you're trying to achieve, that's all you need. And it's like when everybody keeps kind of ranting on about sort of converting all of their GW pots over to dropper bottles and stuff, and it's like if it makes your life easier, go for it, but like you don't have to do it. I've never done it, and like the sky hasn't fell in kind of thing, you know. I'm fine using them as they are. Just get a bit of there. Miss the glove out there as well. His hand just coming through. Make sure we get all those little bits. And I think that's that one. Put these ones to one side so I don't mix them up. Tasty Brain says he's been using some army painter paints and so far he's had no problems with them. Yeah, like I say, mate, I think it might just depend. It might depend how long they've been kind of sitting around as well. Maybe some stocks are slow to rotate. Maybe you're getting some new ones. I've got no idea, mate. But like I said before, there, Krabby, he's exactly right. Just whatever works for you. Whatever works for you is the right ones. And as we said before, the best colour is done. So whatever works for you to get finished. Christian says I tend to sleep early and the stream doesn't fit that. Yeah, my wife's an early sleeper as well. She goes to bed early. The reason we always stream later is the fact that there was a lot of time when I first started doing the streams was that my son was only quite small at the time. Like when I was starting streaming, he was 1-2 year old, something like that. And a lot of the time my wife was working away and I was on that kind of baby duty, if you like, sort of making sure he was keeping an eye on him when he was asleep and stuff. And sometimes it took him a little while to go over to bed and to drift off to sleep and stuff. But I always knew that by about 9 o'clock, he was kind of flat out by then, and he was going to have a good sleep before he maybe might wake up in the middle of the night and stuff like that. So that was why we started the streams at 9 o'clock UK time. It was purely around. There was a lot of times I was on my own with the little one, and I had to make sure that he was asleep before we started. These days it's less of a thing. He goes to bed a bit later now. He's obviously a bit older, but what the streams do is, by having them at 9 o'clock, it tends to pick up some folks in the US are kind of in the afternoon, and some folks in like in Australia, like VJ and Moose, kind of get to kind of see it early morning, and folks have just kind of got used to the timer for the streams. I think. I guess the other side of it as well is like, if you do it earlier, like if I do it like 7:30 and stuff, some folks are still having their like evening meal and stuff, and haven't kind of settled down. They're having some family time. But by the time I guess to like 9 o'clock, I guess that's when people are sometimes kind of sloping off to have a bit of hobby time, or I almost said a bit of alone time, but that's not what these streams are for. Crabby saying he started using Vallejo airbrush primers and colour forged sprays. The colour forged sprays, mate, are fantastic. That's what I've used on these, the black primer. I've got the black one and the white one. I haven't tried any of the colour ones yet, the coloured primers, but the colour forged primers are fantastic. Absolutely over the moon with them. I mean, they sent me one to try actually when they first came out, and I was absolutely blown away by it. I've replaced it twice since then, buying more of them. So yeah, I can't speak highly enough about those colour forged primers. Christian saying the green stuff world inks are great. I've not used any of those stuff. I've never used any inks, if I'm honest. I keep hearing about people use it like painting with like oil paints and stuff like that, like oil washes and stuff. I've not done anything like that either. I tend not to kind of just sit and paint and like experiment or try and paint to a particularly high level or anything like that. I'm either just painting for myself, for my own hobby, which is more about relaxing more than anything else, or I'm painting to get things done for videos or to kind of show them off on reviews and things, in which case it's tend to be more about just getting it done. So I never really sort of experiment that much. But yeah, I mean, I enjoy painting, but I think I enjoy painting as relaxation, not necessarily the randomly, not necessarily the painting itself, if you like. It's the fact that it makes me kind of wind down a bit. Beauty saying you get 15 litres of acrylic matte mixed up in the local paint store for €30. Seems to be the same quality as Army Painter. Yeah, I shouldn't be bashed out. I don't know what it's like for certain, to be fair. So right, let's catch up a bit. Hello Tony Howell, how are you doing, mate? Nice to see you. Soka Forces, yeah, Star Saga is a good game and it can be played as a solo game. Definitely worth it for the Mason Labs. Yeah, I've also heard as well, I think that like there's a few models that you get in there that's not necessarily available like on their own as well. So it's kind of one way to pick up models that are quite difficult to get your hands on as well. God, we are quite far behind, aren't we? I am well behind on the chat now. Do you know what it is? I'm gonna skip ahead a bit here. James Bray says, Talasar Blue, I love that one. Hello mate, how you doing? Peter saying Hawk Turquoise was gorgeous. I don't think I might not have even used. Oh, Hawk Turquoise was a Citadel paint, wasn't it? I remember now. I was thinking it was a contrast paint there. Jill says, I picked the colour I want rather than the paint line. Yeah, I think I kind of do that, but like what I did was when I started doing this full time, I invested in like a full range so that I had them in front of me. And what that's allowed me to do is it means I generally am a bit more adventurous when it comes to colours, because I think what I never did was I never really kind of like thought, oh, I'm going to paint this a particular colour and then go out and buy that particular paint regardless of the range. What I used to do was look at the paints I've got and go, oh, that'll look good. So by having like a limited palette at home, the models that I painted were a limited palette. And by sort of buying into a range of paints, whilst it might not be the range for everybody, for me it's widened out the colours I use. I highlight things more now because I'll pick a shade that's a little bit lighter and I'll highlight stuff up, where in the past I wouldn't like mix stuff to highlight them or anything like that. So for me, having more paints to choose from has made my painting more colourful, I would say. Tony's saying he's a paint tart. Christian's saying, yeah, not a bad time for streaming really. Now with the hour change, it's not that late in Spain too. So is Spain not on the same? I had a feeling that Spain would change the same time as the UK did. I didn't realise Europe didn't change as well at the same time. And is it not even later? Oh, we went back an hour. Did we go back an hour? Yeah, the clocks went back an hour, didn't they? Here. So, Fiji said, I transferred my Citadel to Droppers. It was quite a zen experience, but I wouldn't do it again. Yeah, that's kind of me, mate. I think I've mentioned before, if I'm using something in the airbrush, like a particular colour, and I'm going to use it a lot, like if I was painting Space Marines, for example, and I was going to paint a certain colour, I'd transfer something to a dropper bottle because it's easier to keep topping up the and then I'd like thin it to the right consistency, and I'd keep topping up the airbrush from a dropper bottle that way. Because that if you're doing a lot of airbrushing, I definitely agree, dropper bottles are the way to go. But for me, I find it just as easy to open up a pot and dip a brush in and lift some out. John says, I had a weird attraction to hideous blue, but now it's Elysian green. Yeah, Elysian green's a nice green, actually. I don't paint much stuff green, to be fair. I think the only stuff I've really painted green is I did an Ariadne army for Infinity, and I painted that green. But I generally don't. I've got I love painting red and I love painting blue. But I don't mind painting yellow, but I do very little green randomly. Okay, so that is all of them with their blue on now. So Talasaur blue done. We might need it to just kind of touch up some bits. That's it. Give that a clean out. Jim says, yeah, I did it too, but wish I got better bottles. These ones are not holding up. And Christian saying that I bought before contrast paints came out and they were bright, made the shadows great. Oh, the green stuff world ones, yes, that's what we're talking about as well. Good afternoon, Mr. Fairbanks. How the devil are you, sir? Hope you are well, my friend. Moose is off to work. Enjoy your day, fella. Take care. Have a nice chilled one. Let me scroll down a bit. Christian says they changed for WW2. Is that World War II and didn't change back? Did the clocks in Europe not change? News to me if that was the case. There was a talk a little while ago about not changing in the UK as well, but it never seemed to come to anything. Let me just clean that soap there. Get my just cleaning my brush out there with my Masters brush cleaner. Just helps, especially with the contrast paints. It's nice to get it straight out of the brush, to be honest. BlackJack Legacy Painting Challenge. Use green, says VG. Might not be a bad shout, mate. Actually, something like that. Okay, right, next what we're going to do now is, so we can go back through the range now, and I am going to paint the helmets on these ones. I think we're going to go Flesh Tearers red, just from a contrast paint point of view, and then we'll probably highlight them up with a little bit of what red have I got here? Evil Sun's Scarlet, just to brighten them up a little bit. So actually I think I'm going to paint these with a bit of a smaller brush, Busey said it's 10:30 in Spain. That's all I know. Yeah, it's 9:30 here, mate. Wasn't there always an hour? Yeah, it must have changed. I'm gonna say there's always, you're always an hour ahead. We're just gonna paint these helmets red, just to make them stand out a bit. Makes them easier to spot on the tabletop. Between the difference between these and the Rangers. John saying the clocks change on Sunday. Hate that stuff. It takes me till Christmas to get used to it. It doesn't make that much difference, mate, does it? I've never really had any major effects of it. That's that one. Some of them have got no helmets on, although Therese has got a helmet hanging off the back of her uniform here, so we'll paint that one. Although I think she's got a helmet the same as the troopers, but she's getting a red one. I don't want it to be just, I think it'll get lost hanging on the back of her armor if it's blue. So whatever whatever military reason, she's got a different coloured helmet to the squad. What's that? They got, I don't think they carry helmets. No, they don't carry helmets, those ones. These ones have got them on. The Mexican, hello there. It's going very well, thank you. How are you? Welcome to the stream tonight. Nice to see some folks in. Actually, do I want to paint? You know what? I am going to paint under the chin as well. And paint right up. I'll go back and touch up the other ones as well. I was going to paint the chin strap a different colour, but it actually looks on that one, it looks a bit clearer, and I think I'll go back and do the others. VG saying should have done it green. You know the reason I didn't do it green, mate? Because my green paint is all the way over there. I haven't got it beside us. Makes her a veteran. There you go, Jill. That's the reason it's red. She's the one in charge. Just come remember the chin straps there. And then yeah, what I'll be doing with these ones is I'll be highlighting these ones up, because this particular red, it's the darker red of the two, the Flesh Tearers red, and I intentionally wanted this one to be a bit darker so that I can then kind of like sort of highlight it up a bit, because I do want the helmets to kind of stand out a bit. We'll start with this as a good, it's a good way to get a really nice kind of deep red base coat on it. Something I need to get better at is thinning my paints, like understanding what's the right consistency. And I think it's one of the reasons why I quite like using the contrast paints, is I don't really have, it's one thing I don't have to worry about. Peter says I would have painted a helmet yellow, gives the Star Trek red shirts, yellow shirts. Star Trek's not my bag, mate. I wouldn't even know that. Is that one done? It'll all look good when it's finished, I promise. Christian saying, in a couple of weeks, I'm finally finishing this endless house moving. My God, 4 months. And tackling some Dead Zone. Nice one, mate. I look forward to it. Mexican says, nice work, bro. Thank you very much, buddy. Thank you very much. We're just going super fast tonight. We're gonna try a first on these live streams. I'm gonna try and paint the entire side of a 2-player starter set in one live stream sitting. So we're cutting a few corners tonight. Let's see if we can get it all done just to show that it's possible. There we go. That's that one as well. So there's all the helmets done. Now, get rid of that red. We're going to take out contrast black. Get that red out of the brush. That gets in right in deep there, doesn't it? Peter says, all you need to know when a team in Star Trek guys in a red shirt and yellow shirt, the red ones always die first. I'm aware in Star Trek that there's different colour shirts, but I never understand. I never understand kind of anything other than I think is Captain Kirk wearing a yellow shirt? Does that denote he's a leader or something like that? I'm not, like I say, I'm not that up on the on Star Trek stuff. John saying it seems mainly paint green going from the goblin skin to these halflings. Are you sticking with green for the goblins, for the halflings as well, mate? Are you? I haven't decided what colour to do my halflings yet. It's one of the reasons why they're still not finished. Or not started even, to be fair. Right, so yeah, we're going to go with contrast Black Templar. We're going to do the boots. VJ says the face is the perfect chance to go in with the Wraithbone and then hit it with some Girlyman flesh. Actually, I quite like to paint it Kislev flesh and then hit it with the where is it? I've got it here somewhere. The Girlyman flesh. So yeah, I like to do that over the top of that. But yeah, I like your thinking, son. I like your thinking. So we're going to be doing the bases kind of like a lot lighter grey. That's what we're coming in with the black boots for. Guess we can kind of get away with it. That's that one. On to the next one. We're whizzing through these, folks. Whizzing through them. This could be the future. VJ says Andy doesn't paint enough green because he doesn't paint enough gobbos. I've never really been like you know how some people are like absolute like kind of orcs, like orc mad, love orcs in fantasy and sci-fi and all that kind of stuff. It's never really floated my boat. I think the fact that they're always like a horde army has always just made me think, no, enough for me. So yeah, I mean, I've painted an orc like purely in the fact that like I've had an orc to paint kind of thing. So I've painted some what they called for like orc stuff for Warcry and stuff like that. But I've not I've generally not been that into orcs and stuff. Get these boots. More gobbos. Lee Russ, good evening, matey. How are you doing? John says, I like painting olive green. When I haven't for a while, I've come back to something that requires it, or it feels off. There you go. John saying, depending on the series of Star Trek, a new character in a red or yellow shirt is always dead by the end of the episode. There you go. There are some, I mean, we've talked about this before, but there's some fairly major kind of like, sort of like shows and stuff like that, especially sci-fi stuff, that I've just never watched. Like, I've never seen an episode of Star Trek. I've watched the new one of the new films, I think I've watched, but I've never seen an episode of the TV series, any of the different ones. I've never seen an episode of the TV series for Stargate. I've never seen an episode of Doctor Who. Like, there's loads of stuff like that I've just never watched. Like, I like watching movies, but TV I can kind of sort of give or take when it comes to sci-fi stuff. Christian said he's going to share the schemes when he can. Thank you very much, mate. I look forward to seeing them. Always nice to see people sharing their stuff. Colton, good evening, mate. Says nothing wrong with cutting some corners to get some good looking minis on the table. You are not wrong, mate. You are not wrong. Put it this way, if I can get these all painted tonight, all 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Is that all there is in this 11? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. If I can get all 10 batch painted in a few hours tonight on this stream, that is a win. I can always go back and kind of like fancy them up later on if I feel like it, but you know what? Probably won't. I'll probably just be happy with them as they are. But yeah, this is the kind of like the way when you paint with things like contrast paint is just get them in a big production line and just keep going. Just get them in a production line and keep going. Peter says red shirts are security, blue are science. So there's a it's not like it's not like kind of like what's the word I'm looking for? It's not like rank as such. It's more job specific. Bit like in McDonald's, if you wear a tie or not. And yes, folks, I did just compare Star Trek to McDonald's. I like the Picard area, says Peter. Picard, is that? Picard is the, what do you call it one, isn't it? Alright! I get what he's called now. Mark Wright, thank you very much, mate. Joining the Patreon, you legend. Much appreciated, buddy. Ramiro Valdez as well. Thank you very much, buddy. Hugely appreciated. Loving the love in the room tonight. Thank you very much for that, folks. Who am I thinking of there? Yeah, oh, his name escapes me. I know he's the guy that plays Professor Xavier, but his name's gone from my head now. The Yorkshire guy. Well, he might be from Lancashire, to be fair, but I'm sure he's Yorkshire. Oh, he's a Yorkshireman. Patrick Stewart, that's it. I couldn't think of his name. And then it came to me. Yeah, I think he's Picard, isn't he? There we go. Next. So we're going with the boots. Oh, heard the tune. The Mexican. He says, I'm Ramiro. Ah, hello, matey. Thank you very much. I had a feeling, but I didn't want to assume that somebody with the name Ramiro sounded Mexican. So there you go, buddy. Thank you very much, and thank you for joining the Patreon, and thank you for the super chat as well. Hugely appreciated. Hugely appreciated. So there's another one done, and we're cooking on gas tonight, folks. Cooking on gas. The Mexican says, I wish I could do that, but I'm an airbrush guy. Ah, yeah, I know what you mean, mate. I used to airbrush quite a bit as well, and what I used to do, especially like with big armies and stuff, I would airbrush everything and then kind of like zenithal paint it with like a lighter, like you see we're doing blue. I'd do them all with a dark blue in the airbrush, and then Zenith will highlight the whole thing, and then come back and pick out all of the kind of details and stuff with a paintbrush. So I used to kind of airbrush a bit like that as well. But with these guys, I'll be honest, I airbrush less now because just because it's a bit noisy on a live stream. Really, it's not like it's oh, I've missed a little bit of the blue there. It's a bit noisy on a live stream. Like, you don't want the airbrush kind of, or the compressor banging away while I've got the microphone here. So I tend to just try and find ways to kind of just to do it, shortcut it a little bit on the streams. So there we go. There's the, oh god, that top's a bit stiff. Yeah, that's it. There's the boots done. BG says there's no such thing as orc mad. There is only wah. You know what I mean. Coda says the red shirt in original was a meme. There were more gold shirts dying in the show. Same as Kirk being a womanizer when his only ever love was his ship. I think that's just because probably William Shatner was probably a bit of a womanizer. Maybe I'm making an assumption there. Maybe he wasn't at all. Maybe he was a clean living gent. John says the new Manic Orcs look amazing and more elite, so you'd need fewer. I must admit, I did see, excuse me if this rattles next to the microphone, I did see the new Manic Orcs today in the pictures, and they do look rather nice. Whether I sort of paint a full army of them, I don't know, but maybe once I see them. Colton saying never got into Star Trek either, honestly. Yeah. Colton saying, Dirk saying, what have you done with your childhood? I had a very, very good childhood, thank you very much. I did a lot of sport and stuff when I was young. I mean, I loved Star Wars, so I was kind of into that kind of stuff. But so I did, like I say, I watched movies and things. But yeah, I didn't watch a lot of TV when I was a kid. I was always out. I'm on the screen there. I was always out, kind of playing sports and stuff, and out on a bike and all that kind of good stuff. So I never really watched much TV. I watched a bit of kids' TV when I was younger. Well, this looks a bit heavy at the minute, but it's because it's probably a bit too thin. And it's kind of pooling a bit, but it'll drop back once it dries. And we're going to wash it anyway, so... Just trying to come in there, trying not to get this onto the armor. A little bit just under the chin there. That'll do us. It looks terrible at the minute, but when it starts to dry back, it'll be fine. There's that one done. Next one. Scroll down a bit. John says I painted hundreds. Oh, I did say that. Does it pay off my screen there? Let me find it. I painted hundreds of orcs, my second, third edition army. Still have at least 50 models I could add to it. Maybe next year. That's commitment to the cause, that, mate. Sorry for the silence there while I'm holding my breath, trying not to screw this one up. You can see those GCPS look good on the TV screen. I couldn't see well on the phone. Ah, okay, mate. Thank you. Yeah, I tell you what, they're far more detailed. I don't know how new they are. I'll be honest. I don't know if they're a new range. I don't think they're new for 3rd edition, for example. I think they've been around for a while, but the quality of the sculpts is pretty good. But I tell you what I am finding, after painting a lot of Marvel recently, and painting the Wild West Exodus models and that kind of stuff, like they feel quite small in my hands. So just there. A little bit more on the neck there. And Call that one done. We'll just do a little bit more on the eye there, I think. Just because when the wash comes in, it'll pick up on it anyway. There we go. That's that one done. Right, Therese, we're going to paint a dark skin, I think. And I don't know what I've got for a darker skin here. Actually, I don't know if I've brought anything over for it. So I think what we'll start with is don't want that one. Common flesh, earth shade. We've got a Saigo brown, which I think we're going to start with as a base, and then we'll work back up from that one. Edson, please tell me you've seen Firefly. I have seen Firefly, mate. I do like Firefly and Serenity as well. Jill's just saying there, I realised when I rewatched Star Trek Next Generation a few years ago that I'm the person I am because of the show. The things I value and the attitude I try to face the world with. Wow. It's a good job it was on the good side then, wasn't it? I could have been exceptionally wrong. So we'll start with this dark contrast, and then we'll kind of highlight up from this just to lighten the skin a touch, more just for to pick up the detail really. Although to be fair, depending upon how this dries over the silver, that might give us the contrast that we want. So we'll see how it goes. Because actually it's a little lighter than I thought it was. So that might not be too bad actually. There we go. That's that one. Right, what we're going to do now is going to get the metallics out and start to come in now and pick out some of the details and things. Lee says, totally with you on the production line stuff and contrasting it with a ton of my mates' droids for Legion. That's the way to do it, mate. Just bang on through them. So all I'm going to do here, folks, is just a tiny little bit of silver on the brush, a small brush. And then I'm going to go through and I'm going to pick out, so it's just a few like sort of random bits. So things like the elbow pads here. We'll pick out the knee pads. The elbow pad as well. Just the odd little kind of spot of bits and pieces. We'll pick out, there's a couple of spots on the chest here, on the armor. We'll pick out some bits on the backpack. She's not one that's got a knife. And we'll do the same thing from the gun as well. So we're not painting the whole thing. We're just highlighting up, really making sort of some of the silver of the gun like stand out a bit. Oh, I've missed the hand there on that one. What we'll do is we'll come back and we'll have a look at every model and pick up any bits that we've missed afterwards. So this is a good opportunity just to kind of tidy up a bit. If we've gone over any bits with the contrast paint, just pick them up as well. Inside the gun, bits that we can't get to generally. This just gives us a little bit of something different. Oh, I haven't painted the faces. The faces I'm forgetting these guys have got their helmets open. So let's go back and finish that off. Andrew saying he's clipped all the terrain from the 2 Octorius box sets he got yesterday. Need to file the bits off and get on with it. The Octorius box sets were cheap at my local store at the weekend. £80 I think he was selling them for. Don't know whether he had a few of them left over that I was trying to sell off, or if He's trying to get his stock levels down a bit. We had a nice little sale at the weekend. I bought some Marvel stuff when I was there. I know that looks a bit like I've just kind of filled it in, but it's just where it's a bit runny. Once it dries back and we put the wash over it, we put the contrast over it, it'll be fine. There's one done. Peter says the fryers in McDonald's start doing crazy beeping. It sounds like a bit like Star Trek. Vijay says, damn, just realised I need a fluoro hot pink for the weapon glow on these Battletech mix. Nice one, mate. Patrick Stewart there, everybody's right. I'm getting down to that bit now. Tony's in Army painting and production line painting on my idea of misery. Where's that gone now? I'm very much an individual mini painter. To be honest, mate, if there's too many to paint, I know exactly what you mean. However, I'll be honest, sometimes I think painting like this sometimes is its own kind of reward, really. It's like, it's almost, I know exactly the bits I need to paint, just pick up the next one, do the next bit, and actually it can, I find it sometimes just focuses the mind, just lets me switch off mentally. It's not about kind of sort of being mega creative, if you like. It's not about being artistic. Sometimes it's just about kind of just the getting done, really. And that in itself can sometimes just be its own reward. But I wouldn't want to be like a what do you call it, like a commission painter, painting like production line stuff all the time. But it's nice now and again. If you can get in the right frame of mind, it definitely it can definitely work. That one done. I think that's them all now. Yeah, that's it. Just those few I missed. Right. Christian's saying the GCPS are new that they are hard plastic, but not that they're new to be made for 3rd edition. Ah, right, okay, mate. Cordus is saying, when I was a kid, the original Star Trek had Sunday morning slotted TV next to the kids' cartoons. I don't know when it was on here, to be honest. I never watched it, so whenever it wasn't like when I normally watch TV. I think I got formed by reading war books. Conan the Barbarian as well. I read fighting fantasy books and choose your own adventure when I was a kid. What else did I read? I remember reading other stuff as well, but I can't think what it was now. I read like sort of like some horror stuff as well, like sort of The Rats by James Herbert. That was a book I read when I was a kid. Well, I say a kid, like, I mean, obviously not like not too young, but I've always liked like horror stuff. But obviously I wasn't watching that either when I was little. So I don't know. I don't really know. I can't even really think back. Like I say, I was just massively into sports. I played a lot of football. I did a lot of athletics. I played basketball. I played cricket. Kind of like if it was a sport available to me, if I got the opportunity, I would do it. So because I kind of like yes, I'm obviously sort of geeky and stuff like that. I wouldn't be here doing this if I wasn't. But like I wouldn't say it as a younger kid I was that geeky. Like I was into computer games and stuff. Yeah, that's probably why. Thinking back, I didn't really watch TV because I played sort of computer games most of the time. And I suppose that in itself was quite geeky back then. It was a bit of a nerdy thing to do, playing video games. I'll do him for now. John says, I put my current fetish for painting yellow to trying it on an AdMech army and deciding it looked good. Since then I've done several others. Yeah, I painted some AdMech stuff. Yeah, yellow is a bit of a test actually. David Warren, good evening, mate. Says, I'm someone who owns no GW stuff or DEADZONE stuff. Which would you recommend, Kill Team or DEADZONE? I'd like a sci-fi skirmish game to complement Legion. Hello, mate, by the way. What I would suggest, mate, is one is who are you going to play with? Where are you going to play? If you're just playing with somebody kind of who will happily play whatever you play, then I guess then the choice becomes yours. If you're going to play at like a local store, maybe it's worth picking up whatever the local store plays or whatever. However, let's assume that you're introducing it to somebody and you're in control. My own personal choice would always, I think, be DEADZONE, purely for the fact it is super fast to play. It's played on a very small area, so it's only on a 2 foot by 2 foot board. It's a super slick system where you don't need any measurement. So I find that if you're playing with kind of like non-miniature gamers, it seems to kind of like sink in a little bit easier because you're moving through cubes on a board. However, the other side of it is GW makes some very, very nice minis, and you can certainly you tend to be able to pick up games of it a bit easier. So I think it honestly depends. If it's for the gameplay experience, I would personally pick DEADZONE. If it's for the hobby experience and getting out there and going to maybe events and meeting other folks, and maybe Kill Team might be the one for you. That's kind of how I would maybe sort of categorize the two of them, really. Leroy says you probably missed a lot of telly while starring in Biter Grove as well. Well, there was that, mate. You know, obviously fighting off the paparazzi and stuff when I was younger, and it all takes its toll, doesn't it? Night Kodos, thanks for coming in, buddy. Jill says I was told at 12 to not even walk to school because of my knees. Retreating into books, TV and video games was everything to me after that. I had some issues with my knees when I was younger, but mine were kind of temporary. I was doing so much sport that basically the cartilage in my knees was wearing away. It was kind of like I was basically overusing them, and they were wearing away faster than I could sort of my young body could produce the lubricant for my joints, basically. So I had to take a big rest from sport for a while. I had to get these massive sort of needles into my knees to put fluid into them, like put like a wherever it was, I can't remember what it was now, put something into my knee joints. But yeah, it was through overuse. I used to play football for my school team. I played for a Sunday league team as well. And then I also used to have a kickabout with my mates every week as well. And I used to run for the school, and I used to run for Sunderland Harriers as well. I played for a local cricket team. I played for the school cricket team as well. So yeah, plus a number of other things and bits and pieces I did. So as you can imagine, with all the training and other stuff, these days I don't think they would let you do it. Back then, people didn't really even kind of give it a second thought. It was just like, you're having fun, son. Just get on with it kind of thing. So yeah, it was different times, I think. David saying, thanks for the feedback. I'll be the evangelizer playing with friends, so I'm guessing DEADZONE makes sense. The price helps too. Yeah, honestly, mate, like I mean, obviously, I'm sitting painting DEADZONE stuff. I'm going to be a little bit biased about it. And I haven't, to be fair, I haven't played the new Kill Team either, but the rules didn't particularly grab me when I read them. Whereas DEADZONE I just find it easy to get to the table. I find it's one of those games that it's not difficult to learn, and if you're showing new people, I would suggest it's definitely the easier game to teach. Busey saying, forgot about your Biter Grove days. How's your eyes now since the paintball incident? I'm blind, Jeff. I'm blind. Yes, I wasn't in Biter Grove when the paintball incident happened. It was before my time, that one. Sorry, it was after my time rather. I was in it earlier than that. I was in the original first series. He says, as if he was some kind of star. Yeah, Duncan was in it, but not PJ back then. So a deck, but not Ant. So all I'm doing here, folks, there's just like little bits that's kind of on the armor or on the uniform type thing that I'm just picking out with the silver, just because it looks like might be nice just to make it kind of pop out a little bit. So that's all I'm really doing. But we're whizzing through them, folks. How long have we been painting? We were cracking on about, we've been doing about an hour and a half, something like that. John said he did a lot of track and field and long distance running, but got into this hobby and read tons anyway. I never did long distance stuff. My stuff was sprinting, and I did like 100, 200 and 400, and I did a little bit of high jump as well. But yeah, I can't stand long distance running. Even now, I don't enjoy like kind of running long distances, like going for a jog or something like that. Like I sometimes do it purely because like I need to, so I don't get old and collapse. But I don't find it fun at all. What I've started to do is I much prefer to run on a treadmill in the gym and put like an iPad on, put my phone on in front of me, and like watch the NFL highlights or something like that, just to take my mind off it. But I just don't enjoy running at all. That'll do. Have I already done? No, I haven't done Therese yet. Jim W, hello mate. It says models look great. I'm currently building a makeshift 8x8 dead zone map and using my Infinity model to do a play test. Reading through the 2.0 rules, I'm pretty excited to try it out. Do you know what it is, mate? It's a great way to do it. I mean, you're only just a piece of 2 foot by 2 foot, bit of wallpaper or something like that, to be fair, and just draw a grid on it, and you're off and running. David says, is there any way you can use third-party terrain for Dead Zone, or based on how terrain works with the cubes, do you have to buy from Manic? You don't have to buy from Manic, mate. You can use your own terrain. You can use third-party terrain. What I would say is it's slightly more difficult, purely for the fact that when you're first starting out, your like movement is so much easier with the Mantic stuff, because it's a physical cube, so you know for a fact when you're in one cube or you're in another. However, that's not to say that you couldn't use sort of normal terrain, and you have to kind of almost just agree with whoever you're playing with and say, well, that's in that square, that one's in that square. So in the early days, it might slow you down a little bit while you're kind of getting the grips with it. So if you can find anything a bit more cube-like, by all means, use that. Even if you're just cutting out sort of cardboard boxes or something like that to do it. It just makes it a bit easier, but yeah, it's not a must-have. It just makes it a bit more simple, mate. It's in Kill Team plays quickly and the rules are initiative. It's not just a cut down 40k like other Kill Team was. It's a fully fledged modern skirmish game. Yeah, I hear folks. I mean, the folks that play it love it, mate, and all power to you and them as well. It just when I read the rules, it didn't tick the boxes for me personally, but that doesn't mean it's a bad game at all. It's just. And get on these elbow pads as well. Busey said he did a fair bit of track and field on the NES. John says I did the mile at 3:46 when I was 15. Apparently that was very good. Yeah, I used to do it. I did the 100 meters in under 11 seconds when I was younger, which was pretty good for my age at the time. Obviously, I then discovered going out and alcohol, and a lot of that went by the wayside back then. I think one of the things was when I started going to like a professional, kind of like a more serious sports club when I used to run for Sunderland Harriers, and I ran for Durham County for the schools as well. They rather than actually kind of like training you and making you improve you at what you were good at, they got you to try like loads of other stuff as well to try and kind of to see what else you were good at. But what I did was like I found that boring. I wanted to run. I didn't want to do a long jump and all that kind of stuff. So when they started getting me to do other things, it was like, oh, it's not really what I want to do. John said I quite like a run, but I've just signed up for Edinburgh Marathon. I saw that, mate. You signed up for the marathon. Good on you. I don't have the kind of like the mental capacity to switch my brain off for that amount of time. All power to you, mate. My wife enjoys it. She loves going for a run. She's done the Great North Run and lots of like 10k stuff and things like that. And before we had the little one, we used to do a lot of it together. But it was all right, kind of going for a run with my wife, because we'd obviously have a chat the whole way. But yeah, doing it on my own, I just can't motivate myself. I find it just. I feel like my brain needs to be occupied, and it's not when I'm running. I think that's what it is. Like I feel like my brain needs to be kind of stimulated. I do find it quite hard to switch off sometimes in that respect. Okay. We'll just pick up those little antenna things on the back of the helmet there. Dirk says, who let all these jocks in the nerd corner? John saying the wife set off the smoke alarm cooking. My ears are ringing from the piercing alarm. How very dare she, really? We're just picking up little bits again, just as I say, just to make it not just one big block of colour. We're not finished with metallics though. I'll show you in a second what we're going to do just to set it off a little bit, as the silvers get lost a little bit against the blue. Paint a couple of bits off there. bits on here. Right, one more to do. Flying through these, folks. Tabby says he's going to come down and give you a wave, John, eh? That's not bad. That's not bad. Right, I'll pick up the gun here on his chest. Got little bits just to break that up. Gun looks alright there. Elbow parts. Oh, missed a bit on the gun there as well. Let me just hide those bits up. And then pick up the antenna on the helmet. And then a few little spots on the back here. Got his knife on the side. Right. Then what we're going to do, folks, we're going to... John saying I'll be the bloke that looks knackered. Yeah, that would be me as well, mate. Right, we're going to pick up gold now. So we've got Retributor armor now. Again, Citadel paint. He puts it on the screen. There it is. And we're going to go over some of that silver stuff and just pick out the gold bits. Because by putting the silver on first, it really makes this Retributor armor, it makes it pop a bit more. So, and then and we're not trying to kind of cover the whole thing, because any bits you miss and leave the silver showing through, it almost just looks like it's kind of got a bit of shine to it. It looks like you've been kind of highlighting bits as well. So I quite like looking. I like how it looks when you do that. So we're not trying to be anything too fancy here. We're going to leave that one like that. That's that one. We'll just work our way through it. Yeah, Ed's saying if you're really into sport, it's as nerdy as any hobby. Honestly, mate, like the kind of this. I used to play like a lot of golf and stuff, and there's nothing more nerdy than golfers with equipment. Like, it's amazing. Like you say, sportsmen are nerdy as well. Like footballers with a certain boots and certain shin guards and sort of all that kind of thing. Fancy types of football and things. It's amazing, really. Everybody's a nerd for their own sort of their own pastimes. It's just people don't poke fun when you're a season ticket holder so much, do they? When you're a football into that kind of stuff, it's a different thing. So, folks, who's been getting some games in lately? Anyway, I've had a couple of games this week. I had a game of Marvel Crisis Protocol at the weekend, where I played against Asgard affiliation, which was was interesting. It's the first time I've played against Asgard and Thor and Angela and that kind of stuff. So it was a fun game. I played my Avengers, and actually the first time I played my Avengers list, and I quite enjoyed it. I think I might. In fact, I did come home and there was a sale on Goblin Gaming. We had 30% off a lot of Marvel stuff, so I did order myself some more Avengers things. I got War Machine and the Sam Captain America one, the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. No, sorry, not the Falcon Winter Soldier. The Falcon Captain America and the and War Machine pack. That's what I was trying to say. So I ordered myself that. So I think I'm going to start playing a bit more of the Avengers list. I've also got Hulkbuster on the paint table at the minute. So Yeah. Peter said he's getting a game of bolt action tomorrow. Early war Belgians versus Germans. I've not played any bolt action. I've kind of like sort of pushed some models around and rolled some dice to kind of to get my head around how the rules work. But I've never like sort of properly played a game of it. I've never played like a historical game really. I mean, depending upon if you talk like if you say pirates are historical and stuff, then yeah, I've played like pirate games and that kind of stuff. But I've never played like a World War II game or anything like that. Right, come with these gold. Put these bits on here. David says, thanks for the tips and the model paint. It was a good time to end the work day. Got to head out. Have a good night. Take care, buddy. Thanks very much for coming in. Nice to see some new faces. I think we will paint that bit there. What's that? Wayne says he's playing his first proper game of bolt action this week. British Airborne. Nice to see a couple of bolt action players there. Seems like it's going great guns. Pardon the pun there. John said he had 3 games this week. A couple of them order and DEADZONE 2. Was beaten comfortably by Dan Kennedy. Oh dear, mate. Are you playing tomorrow as well, mate? Are you off down to the bunker on Thursday as well? Jacob says, always thought the rules for bolt action sounded fun, but never gave it a shot. As far as I understand, mate, they are pretty much, I think, is it 2nd or 3rd edition 40k rules? Essentially, I think. I'm sure that's what I read somewhere. I mean, the game was done. Was it Rick Priestley and Alessio Cavatori that did the original bolt action rules? So it's unsurprising, really, but I think that's essentially what the rules are. Another one. Peter says, honestly, bolt action is mostly historical in setting. Game mechanics are just so good. It's widely popular. Yeah, I think kind of the way it's been explained to me is it's not like a historical game as such. It's like Kelly's Heroes. It's like sort of Saving Private Ryan. It's like a Hollywood movie sort of World War II game is how it's being described to me, and that would make sense. So. I think we'll leave that silver to be fair. That's that one, and then this fella, and then we've got some touch-ups to do and stuff, and then we start on the bases. But yeah, this is kind of just one way to just like what's interesting is I've actually been able to kind of show on a stream tonight, and it's still only 25 past 10. I mean, we normally stream at 11 o'clock, so we'll get these done tonight, I think. This shows you don't always have to kind of like, not everything needs to be a work of art, if you like, just to get things on the table. And as I said before, you can always go back and like sort of tidy them up and sort of fancy highlights and things like that. So what we're going to do now is just wash that brush out. I'm going to go back and kind of tidy up some bits and pieces. So this one we need to see if we've missed any blue bits. I think we're all good on this one. What we're going to do is we're going to put the Gulliman flesh into the skin tones. We're also going to get this red and just touch. So what I'm going to do is just get this red here, and I'm just going to put the red. Oops, just off the screen there. Let me just move those two to there. And all I've done is I've just put a little red just on the back there. I just find a little bit of stuff like that just to helps to kind of give us a little bit of something to focus on. And all I'm doing here is just need a thinner touch. Just go with a couple of little kind of highlights on it, just to help make it pop a bit, because that red's is intentionally quite kind of dark and quite flat. And by doing it on the helmet here, all I'm really doing is picking a few little spots out. It almost kind of tricks the eye into thinking that there's more care being taken on it, really. So, and then a bit, and then just come in with that wash in there. That's that one. Next one, we will need to do something with the hair on this one at some point, but I think we'll do the skin first. John says I get my historical fix from plastic modelling. John says, yeah, we got a game on the big table tomorrow, currently 2v1, and he's bringing 4K Forces of Nature. Ooh, nice one, mate, nice one. I like the sound of it. Ed says the martial arts are worst for it. At least the legit ones. The time I spent debating grips, single legs and double leg spinning kicks. I can imagine, mate. I can imagine. I know what it's like. It's just like when you start talking about like MMA and boxing down the pub. I know how people get about that kind of stuff, so. Right. So just do that bit. That one. In fact, I'll tell you what we'll do all the skin tones first. Then we'll come back with the little touches of red and things. We can whiz through these pretty quick. Tony says he's painted up Conflict 47 as a Tesla cannon tank, if that counts, but I'm largely out on margins. Yes, mate. I think there's some lads local to me seem to be getting into historical stuff at the minute. But I think they kind of just, I think there's about like 3 of them just kind of just play. I don't think they go to any like events or anything like that. I think they just play between them. And they seem to be having a good time. Right, where was I up to? The helmets would help, wouldn't it? Peter says, the only thing that matters for me, whether we play a bolt action, we have fun. The rules are a good game and historical flavours there, but not enough to invite river counting. Yeah, I think that's always the bit that puts a lot of people off. Like I've certainly seen it. I mean, I did a video where I painted some bolt action stuff using the Warlord Games and Army Painter sort of paint sets, which actually gave you the instructions or the explanations of like, use this paint to do this army kind of thing, like use this, do it in this order. And so it actually told you, it gave you the colours and told you how to paint them and had like a picture on the box to show you what to do. And I still had people commenting on the video saying it was the wrong colour and that you've done this wrong and you've done that wrong. And it's like, this is why I don't play these games. Like, you know, all I've done, like I don't play them games anyway. I'm literally like showing a product that has been kind of sent to me for review, and I'm doing it by the book, by what's being shown to me of how to do it. So if it's wrong, then the product that Warlord produced was wrong, or potentially the person who's given me a bit of a hard time about it doesn't know their stuff either. So I just find it like that kind of stuff just puts me off. And I know not everybody's like that. I know it's a minority and stuff, but it never ceases me just how much we have a game. Sorry, we have a hobby which is essentially about people kind of just playing and having fun together. It always amazes me how much effort goes into telling people they're doing something wrong. Ed says he's getting rounds of X-Winging on Friday, spinning up for a tournament at the start of December, then kill team to chill out on Saturday. What, Saturday or Sunday? Sorry, yeah, Sunday. Sorry. Nice one, mate. I hear the X-Wing community seem a little bit agitated at the moment. I think is the word I would use. It seems like they're not happy with Atomic Mass Games at the moment, and I guess what they're kind of seeing the way they've dealt with Marvel, and then obviously Atomic Mass Games are really just starting to kind of take over the X-Wing stuff now, and folks seem to be a little bit upset about some bits. I don't know the full story of it, but just what I've been kind of reading online. Luke, how you doing, fella? Nice to see you, my friend. Welcome to the chat tonight. John says, my understanding is there were usually army standards for uniform, but they got whatever they could in a long war. Yeah, I mean, my understanding, mate, is from like watching kind of like sort of like shows and stuff about it is essentially they were taking Butler like sort of uniforms of dead bodies, like they were using whatever material they could get their hands on. As the years went on, obviously they didn't have exactly the same material for the entire time. They basically just used what they could get their hands on sometimes, and depending upon the army, some they like the country or whatever, some of them obviously couldn't afford to do that stuff. So yeah, they got what they got. Luke says looking forward to getting some Dead Zoning soon when I get the bits he's missing. Oh, what are you missing, mate? Did you have a bit of a mare? Have you had a mispack? Fiji says, only thing wrong that you can do in the hobby is tell others they're doing it wrong. I know, honestly, it kind of frustrates me, really. I mean, just let folks enjoy what they enjoy. Like, there's no such thing as it being wrong, unless it's affecting unless it's affecting you personally. But very few things do that. That in. And then this one. I'm just putting in the little like lens things there as well. Give it a little bit of interest. And you know what we're gonna do? Says, yeah, I was missing the strategy dice. I think they sent me extra D8, so there seemed to be quite a lot. And they only had 8 bags of terrain and 2 bags of clips. Yeah, I think that's right, mate. Is there only 8 bags of 8 bags of terrain? Is that right? I could be wrong, like. Peter says it was indeed Warlord that got it backwards. Well, there you go then, mate. Just madness to give people a hard time for following the instructions. Right, so what I'm doing is I've got the Leviathan blue, and I'm using this to kind of pick out some of the pouches on the uniform, just to darken them down a little bit, just so it's not like one big sort of light blue jumpsuit type thing. I'm just picking out some of the odd bit here and there. Maybe some straps or something just to break it up a little bit. Bit of belt or something like that. And then we'll come on and start doing the bases and the bits of hair and stuff. Luke's is supposed to be 10 bags of terrain and 2 bags of clips. Did they say? I think whatever they said, however many bags there was meant to be in the box, included the 2 bags of clips. So when if they said like there's 10 bags of terrain, then two of the bags were clips, I think. But they might have said there was 12 or something. I don't know. I can't remember now. It's a shame, mate. Shame that you got a mispack, but they'll put it right. I know it's a shame, and you shouldn't have to funny on with that kind of stuff, but unfortunately, it's happened now. Looks like I could see some of the panels I was missing, but it was hard to tell. Yeah, there's no list, mate. Yeah, there's no list of kind of content or anything like that, sadly. This is what I was talking about the other week on our live streams. And everybody was saying, oh, I'd rather just have it in cheap packaging and not have paper stuff and this, that and the other. Unfortunately, this is what happens. Johnson, I wouldn't mind getting some Romantics terrain kits as well as their figures, but they aren't well distributed here. Yeah, I mean, you can always order direct. But yeah, it's if they're not easy to pick up, it doesn't help. I think folks just tend to find like when it comes to the GW stuff, it's you become so used to being able to just pick things up, you almost kind of forget. Peter says, I seem to recall seeing your video and you got an army paint set and airborne models, different colour scheme. I couldn't care less really, they look great. Oh, I can't even remember, mate, to be honest now. But I'll be honest, it put me off. It put me off wanting to play it, that's for sure. Like the minute you do kind of anything, people feel the need to kind of to tell you that stuff. I mean, it's not, to be honest, it's not just World War II stuff. It's not just historical stuff. People do it in like 40k and stuff as well, and people love to tell people that they're wrong. Luke says it says there are 12 bags of terrain. Oh, okay, mate. If it says there's 12, then it sounds like you're missing a couple, mate. Because yeah, I think the 12 bags includes 2 bags of clips, which I thought was a bit cheeky. Because I wouldn't class the 2 bags of clips as terrain, to be fair. But yeah, it does sound like you're missing some stuff. Yeah, I mean, one thing I would say is the box that I got sent in, I don't know if it was like a pre I don't think it was like a pre-release thing or anything like that. I assume it was like a proper set. But mine came with white command dice in it when there was a big deal made up about them being black. So I don't know if anybody's been getting black command dice, but certainly the ones in mine were white. No stock again. Hello mate. It says you are wrong. I really didn't like telling you that. You're wrong. I don't know what that's about, man. And Peter says, yeah, I get that. My first historical armies were American Civil War forces. The first comment I got was the blue isn't dark enough. I'm just happy the people I game with don't care. Yeah, that's it, mate. I think people kind of like... People forget that, like... It's quite daunting getting started with any game. And it's definitely even more daunting getting started in a new hobby, never mind a new game. And all it takes is kind of one or two comments like that. Even just one comment, really. To like somebody new to it, and it's enough to just make them so doesn't really matter. Yeah, maybe they didn't have the black ones yet, Blizz, when those sets were getting sent out. Right, so that's about as much detail as they're going to have. I need to quickly get the blue out, the Talisaur blue again, and go back and just double check them because there's definitely some bits where I missed. Oh, Nostock saying feedback and saying people like telling others they are wrong. Oh. I don't think people like telling others, but I don't know why they feel the need to do it all the time. Right, so all I'm doing here, folks, is I'm just double checking I haven't missed any bits before we move on. So that one's okay. Chris Moon, hello mate. Said missed the start. Minis look good for Dead Zone. Haven't been able to convert my mates to play it yet. There's always time, mate. I think that it's like any game, isn't it? Like it doesn't matter how cheap a game is, how good a game is, how accessible a game is. If it means people have got to kind of buy in from scratch and start again with something new, it's always a bit of an uphill struggle. But I think it's if people are looking for something a little bit different to play. I think the whole like not having to measure stuff is a massive a bit of a game changer, really. So yeah, it just depends. But yeah, the idea with this was just to kind of just to do something pretty quick, get them on the table. And what I've done is I've basically painted up the entire GPS side of the starter box in like a couple of hours tonight. So all I'm doing is just going and just double checking I've not missed any bits. Because I'm sure as I was going around, like, it was things like that, like I missed just the fingers around the gun there. That was it. I knew I'd missed something when I was painting before. There's a couple of minis I found as I was going around where I'd done that. So I'm just double checking as I go. There's one where I think I'd missed like under the elbow or something like that. A little bit here on the foot. That one looks alright. I'm sure there was another one where I'd missed. There it is. Even when I'm looking at it, I don't see it. Let's see, I'm sure there was another one where I'd missed the fingers. So, as always, I thought there was another one where I'd missed a bit off the elbow. Maybe I've already done it as I was going round. Oh, it was this one. Who was that one there? Oh, I haven't actually. It's part of the gun. That's why I thought I'd done it, but I hadn't. Right. So next up, we've got to do the bases. And what we're going to do for the bases is we're going to take Eshen grey, and we're going to paint all the bases grey. Chris says we keep the faith. That's all you can do, buddy. Keep the faith and hope they come round to it at some point, eh? Peter says, all I can say, Andy, is if you ever get the chance to try bolt action, give it a shot. Do you know what it is, mate? I don't know anybody that plays bolt action. For such a popular game, it's a game that I've never seen played. Like I used to, an old club I used to go to years ago, there was a load of guys played Flames of War, but none of them played bolt action. And like where, like generally, I mean, there might be some at Battle Bunker that I've not seen or anything like that, but generally, it's not a game I hear people talking about in our sort of local area. I wouldn't mind seeing it in action at some point. So I'm just slapping on this grey. We're just trying to get a coat down onto the base. It's always really hard to kind of paint with the sand in the bottom. You need to really kind of just thin it down and let it just run. You'll agree in there as well. Big fan of bolt action. Yeah, it's something I would love to try. I'm certainly not against it kind of thing. Like I say, that's my opinion of the whole kind of like rivet counters type thing was definitely kind of born into fruition when I painted that. The bolt action stuff. John saying I'd be more likely to get into Conflict 47 than pure bolt action, frankly. I think the problem with Conflict 47 is, doesn't it use old rules? Doesn't it use, unless it's been updated again, but I think last time I looked, bolt action was on version 2, but Conflict 47 was still using kind of bolt action version 1. First edition, if you like. Unless it's been updated now. Tiberius says if you thin with isopropyl and it spreads with capillary action. Yeah, we're just going for speed, mate. It's getting thin with water tonight. Because we're gonna, like, I'm basically just trying to get a bit of a coat on them, because once it's dry, I'll wash it over with like a black Nuln wash, and we'll be dry brushing it up like lighter greys anyway, so it doesn't have to be perfect. It's gonna get washed over. Yeah, Jill saying, yeah, K47 used older rules. Made no sense as it came out really close to 2nd edition. Yeah, it was almost as if it was like, as if it was written by somebody else kind of thing. But yeah, I must admit, I don't know much about the difference between bolt action 1st edition and 2nd edition, whether they're hugely different. But it doesn't really seem to make a lot of sense. Like, I'm surprised it was never updated to kind of fit with, to keep the rules similar. Tiberius says, I'm sad enough to have a pot of chocolate brown paint already thinned with IPA to just do bases. That's because you're a wise man, mate, that's why. You're a wise lad. But I'll tell you what, when I'm slapping this stuff onto the base, it's we're on the home straight now, so I'm not going to worry about it. I'm not going to worry about it. Peter says, you know, when I was painting my Americans, I got pictures from a uniform collector and not one uniform was entirely the same colour. Whenever someone gives you flack, just mention that. Oh, do you know what it is though? The people that do give you flack about that kind of stuff don't like facts. Why let facts get in the way of them knowing more? And do you know what it is? The problem is, mate, is when if it's something I'm confident about and I know enough about to argue the difference, and I'm quite happy to do that. But when it's something like that, like I'm no historian. I've not like studied about Second World War uniforms and all that kind of stuff. And to be honest, even if I played the game and absolutely loved it, I still probably wouldn't study about all that kind of stuff. So that then you have to just kind of basically sit and listen to them drone on, don't you? Because because I don't know enough to kind of say otherwise. Whether it bothers me or not is irrelevant. Doesn't matter that they're my models and I've spent my money on them. It's just one of those things. But yeah, it was one of them things where I thought, surely like folks can't be as bad as all that. I know they've got a reputation for the kind of the rivet counting type stuff, but surely it's like one of them things that hardly ever happens. I guess if you put yourself out there on YouTube, you open yourself up to that audience, I suppose. Type says, I've studied World War II uniforms. It's tedious, but I know my Americans. If it's yours, I mean, I'm not suggesting anything about being bad about it. If it's your bag, it's your bag, but it's not mine, which is why I've never done it. Why I've never played historical games. That just, I'm not really I'm not really. It seems weird to say I'm not into history, of course. Like I'm appreciative of history, but like reading up and researching on history isn't a pastime of mine. Just slapping this stuff on. Tasty Brindrin says, I'm the same way. I'm interested in World War II, so bolt action does interest me, but I love mecha. Busey said, I think you should add BlackJack fingerless gloves to the merch. Would match with the hat and keep hands warm. It's not that cold anymore, mate, to be honest, now. It's warmed up in here. It's just I've had the hat on for so long, there's no need to take it off now. It also stops my head shining on the camera for you. See, I'm trying to help you, that's what it is, mate. So I don't blind you with my bald head. Fingerless gloves. Fingerless gloves are for fruit and veg sellers from the 1800s, man. James says, where did you get the patent handle? From a bottle of Prosecco, mate. I've got hundreds of them. I use them for airbrushing. This is what I use to, like, when I'm airbrushing minis. I stick them on these and then I kind of airbrush them. And I've put my painting handle somewhere. I don't know where I've put it. It'll be in a box somewhere. I've got all the topper bits. I can't remember where I've put the actual painting handle itself. Okay, says, like old steptoe with fingerless gloves. Exactly. It just makes me think of like sort of like something from like Mary Poppins, somebody on the street on the market selling fruit and veg. With the mitten tops, my God. You lot haven't experienced life, have you? If that's what you're getting excited about. That's it. We'll tidy up the boots and stuff like that when this dries, but I'm just slapping the grey paint on to get the bases on. I don't think we're actually going to get them finished on the street tonight because it's going to take a little while for this grey to dry, but to be fair, it's other than kind of painting around the rim of the base and dry brushing them, we've not done bad in a couple of hours. Beauty says, have you got the heater on? Is it warm enough? I've got like a little oil-filled radiator, mate. That's just if I remember to put it on, it just kicks the heat out and then just it switches off and it keeps the room warm. It's just because I haven't been in for it since I played in here with John yesterday morning, and then normally I've got like the tumble dryer on doing some washing and I'm in here and working and stuff. But I spent the day yesterday and today editing a video. And I just sat in the house and did that rather than working in here. So I forgot to come in and just flick the heater on this morning or this afternoon before I came on the stream. And it is absolutely bitter outside at the moment. So, however, it's nice in here. I'm sitting in a t-shirt, mate. It's not like it's not cold now. It's actually just quite nice and toasty sitting with my hat on. Dry brush gloves. to sort of wipe the excess paint off, Fashionistas, no. Loads of people like wipe their brushes on their hands anyway, don't they? I hate getting paint on my hands. Stippling scarf. You'll have to test them out painting houses, mate, first. If you can do them at industrial scale like that. Last wanted though. And then we'll call it a night, I think, while we let them dry. But I'll show you the test model that I did earlier on. I didn't get all the way through to finishing the base, but I got the grey on it and the grey is dry. So I'll be able to at least kind of show you. I just slapped all of his boot, didn't I? It's a good job I'm going to tie the boot up afterwards. Luke says, anyone watch MS Paint's video about dry brush box? I think it's an ingenious idea. I've seen what he uses, mate, but I've not watched it. To be honest, I use that, which is a sheet of MDF with like a texture to it, and it works great. He says, no joke, there's actually a painting mitt you can get for painting railings. Do you know what it is, mate? I can imagine actually, because painting railings must be an absolute pain in the backside. A bit of water in here just to thin this bit out and just get out there. That's that one done. And that's it, folks. So what we've got is essentially, other than a bit of dry brushing when those bases dry, and what else have we got? I've got some hair to paint as well, haven't I? Might as well get some paint on the hair. So we'll go with some Steel Legion drab on this one. Here. When that dries, we'll just put a bit of Agrax wash over it just to pick out the hair detail. We're getting there, we're getting there. James Bray, good night, mate. Thanks for popping in. John saying I have to use an electric space heater from October to May. I mean, we obviously have central heating and stuff. It's not like we sit in the cold, mate. We're not sitting out in the forests here. But yeah, I mean, it's pretty warm in here generally. It's just if the door's been open for any length of time and obviously the temperature drops a bit, and if I've not had the heater on for a little while, it can just be a bit nippy when you first come in. But as soon as it's been on for a while, the lights are on in here. Like obviously the computer's kicking out a bit of heat as well. It's not too shabby really. I'm gonna go with a bit of red hair, I think, on this young lady. Peter says when a room isn't used every day, it needs warming up. Yeah, that's it, mate. I think that's all it is. It's just not had anybody in it. And it's been absolutely thumping it down today. The rain was unbelievable. I was sitting at the table in my living room, just editing a video, and I was kind of like facing the patio doors, and I just happened to look up. The rain was absolutely bouncing. Right. Oops, grab my fingers there. And then the last one is Tyrese herself. I'll give her black hair. Pokemon says, as a desert dweller, I have little to no cold tolerance. Yeah, when you live up here, mate, you just get used to it. You just get used to the cold. Right, that's not too shabby. So it's not going to win any awards, this, but what I have done is painted the whole box set in an evening, in a couple of hours. There's a few little things I'll do, so I'll go back and I'll do things like I'll probably put like a black wash. Let me show you this one because this is the one I painted earlier on, and the basin's dry on that one. I'll just go a dry brush, just trim the base, sort of tidy up the boots, trim the base, dry brush the base. And what I'll probably do is, have I got a black wash here? I can't remember if I've got a black wash oil with me. Oh, I have. I've got Null oil. And what I'll probably do is just sort of just wash that over, just to take the extremeness out of the silver. Just dirty it a little bit. That's it. And that's it. Well, they're all done. Like I say, we've got to dry brush the base. In fact, I'll tell you what we'll do is we might as well. Oh, because now I was gonna. No, I won't. What I'll do is I've got a dry brush, and we're going to use Celestra Grey. And I'll just use my little dry pad here. Tiny bit. Take the worst of it off. And what I'm going to do is just. I'm aware I'm getting it all over the boots and stuff, but we'll go back and we'll paint the boots again when we're done. There's always going to cause some excess kind of going over. That'll do there. And where are we at? Bad and black. See you, Luke. Thanks for popping in, mate. And then just tidy up the edges. See you, Dirk. Thanks, buddy. Anyone just joining? Thank you very much for popping in. So, what I'll do is I'll just paint the boots black as well. I think we did it with black contrast paint before, but I think we'll just paint them in with that on black. And that's that done. There we go. One finished. So that's the that's how they look when they're done. Nice and quick. We've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11 models done in the space of a half 8, half 9, half 10, 2.5 hours. Although I haven't been painting for a full 2.5 hours because we didn't get the brushes out till probably about 1/4 2. But yeah, just over 2 hours, and we've done the full lot. So that's not too bad, is it? If only I could kind of sort of convince myself to just knock out sort of quick methods like that every time, rather than trying to kind of spend too much time on them. Cobra Troopers from G.I. Joe. Yeah, it does look a bit like that, mate. So there we go. You know what the worst part of this is, folks? The worst part is I brought my bottle of whiskey to have a little tipple while I was painting, and I got so into the painting that I completely forgot about it. That's not good, is it? I forgot to have a one. Right, well, there, wash out the brushes while we have a little chat here. Dirk's saying he's off to bed as well. See you, matey. Randomly, the numbers are going up, so whoever's just come in, good evening. Welcome to the chat. We're kind of getting ready to start to wind down a little bit. I'm washing my brushes out here while we have a chat. Peter says, very nice and playable in no time. Exactly, mate. That's what I thought. He just gets them done. Gets them done. Jill says, nice job. If you did it for every model, though, you'd break your own rule. Painting should just be fun. I actually enjoyed it, if I'm honest, though, Jill. Because, like, to me, sort of getting them done is its own enjoyment. Lamour Crazy, good evening, mate. It says, well-deserved drink. I tell you what, we'll have one little tipple while now we're done. And a celebratory a nightcap. So we'll have a nice little just to top it off. Yeah. Cheers, folks. Oh, first one always hits you, doesn't it? Ooh. VJ's back. Good evening, VJ, or good morning, I should say to you, sir. Wincy's looking great. Yeah, like I say, mate, they're not going to win any awards, but they are done. It's like that, like the meme that always does the rounds of the Captain Jack one. Well, they are probably the worst painted minis I have ever seen. But they are painted. Yeah, I'm happy with that. I think they look all right, actually. Just looking at them here. Once they're finished, like once the bases is all finished on them and tidied up, Yeah, you forgot about the bourbon. Yeah, priorities, man, priorities. I did forget about the bourbon. I brought it in and popped it down there when I came in. I brought myself a cup of coffee, and I had my cup of coffee when I first come in, and then I had my bourbon ready for a little tipple, and then I kind of got it. I was in the zone tonight, getting my painting on. Light a cigar. Do you know what it is, mate? I don't have anywhere at home where I can smoke a cigar. So what happens is during the winter months, I generally just like don't smoke anything. So it tends to be like a bit of a, it's more of a summer pastime, like sitting outside with a fire pit on and that kind of stuff. It just gets too cold, even with a fire pit. It gets too cold to be kind of sitting outside, really, this time of year. So yeah, it's definitely a bit of a summer thing, which is a shame, really. I mean, because what I don't want to do is I don't want to like smoke in here and stink the place out, really. Like my bedroom's above this room, and if it kind of goes up sort of, well, I think it'll go up through the ceiling, but yeah, the last thing you want to do is smell it above, sort of seeping through the walls or anything like that. 'Cause, like, cigar smoke's a funny smell. Like it can even get in like through like sort of like through sockets and stuff and into the cavities in the walls, and you smell it through the whole house. So yeah, so I don't smoke indoors for obvious reasons. John says in February of 2015 I didn't get above -8 the whole month. Wow. Yeah, it doesn't ever get. I mean, we have the odd cold snap, but it never really I think what the problem is where we are is we don't do extremes very well because we don't really get extremes. So for example, if it was always really cold, we'd have better heating systems and we'd all buy nicer, like warmer coats and all that kind of stuff. But we don't. Like we get it for like 2 or 3 days, and then it disappears and we don't get it again. The Mookies, he's saying all the Aussies connecting. It's that time of the day, mate, isn't it? That's what it is. All the Aussies diving in. Right, brushes are in there. Their bases are all drying. Cheers. Peter says, no joke, the longest time I'm without smoking is probably during the live stream, closely followed by during work. I've never ever smoked a cigarette. I've never wanted to try smoking a cigarette. It's never like sort of fascinated me. I've never tried like a what they called like a vape thing. I've never tried one of those either. It doesn't really kind of interest me. But I do like the odd cigar now and again. Yeah. Busy said, I'd like to try a nice cigar, not too expensive but good quality. Any ideas? I tell you what, mate, where you are over in Spain, you can get some fantastic cigars for like for a decent price. I probably recommend, if you're just trying for the first time, try a Monte Cristo No. 4. It's a really nice Cuban cigar. It's not too fat. It's quite a nice sized cigar. And in Spain, obviously, you don't have the tax that we have over here. So I think they probably like about a £5 or something like that, £5 or £6. They're like 18 quid here with the tax and stuff. But yeah, really, really nice, mate. John says, yeah, no coat needed if you're a bison. Jill says, just a regular Tony Soprano. Yeah, I do like a big kind of like fat Cuban cigar. So there you go. I just can't afford them, that's the difference. Fiji say most Aussies are at work, while those who aren't crazy enough to work for themselves. I feel your pain, mate. I feel your pain. I was just saying to my wife today, I says, you know what, the thing that happens when you work for yourself, you can't just like you can't just like slack off and still get paid kind of thing. It's not like when I had a proper job, when I would basically just go, oh, I could do with a break. I'm gonna just sit on my phone and I'm gonna get on Facebook, or I'm gonna go on a messenger or whatever. Like these days, it's like if I'm not working, I'm not working. Busy saying, yeah, nice one. I get one report. You do that, fella. You do that. Well, I'm gonna call it a night, folks. I think we're tailing off a bit now. I've cleaned my brushes. We've done all the painting we're gonna do tonight. So, thank you very much, everyone that joined. Thank you to the new Patreons that joined tonight. Awesome. Camo saying he's at work, just listening. Better than the radio. I'll take that as a nice thing. Got a new video up on Friday, so another interview for you all to come and check. Veach is saying you never stop working. You're not right, mate. Yeah, you're not wrong, mate, rather. So yeah, new video on Friday. Watch out for that one. Another interview as well. Next week we should have a painting video, I think, if all goes to plan. So yeah, thank you very much, folks. Take care. Check out the new videos, and I'll see you next Monday for the Monday night live stream. So take care, folks. Thanks. Thanks for watching my video. I hope that you really enjoyed it. And if you did, why not consider clicking on the suggested video below to see more of the work that I've done. If you'd like to support the long-term sustainability of this channel, why not consider checking out my Patreon, where you can pledge and support from as little as $2 a month. And there is lots of different tiers and bonuses, which will give you access to a private Discord server. It will give you free t-shirts, free mugs, a podcast every month, and a number of other things, including getting your name at the end of every video, like these awesome folks who already support me now.